Hello everyone. So in this video we'll learn about how to play chess. So this video will be for very beginner players who wants to learn chess so that they can play. So let's start. So this video will be for very beginner players who wants to learn chess so that they can play. So I'll keep this video very simple so that you can understand all the things which are very important. Now, what is chess? Chess is a game, it is a board game which is played between two players. One player plays from white side and the other player plays from black side. Okay. Now, as you can see, there is a chessboard on the screen. Chessboard is a big square. Okay. And there are some small squares in it. As you can see. Okay. These are some small squares on the chessboard. Now, the chessboard is of two colors. The dark squares which I marked in green and the light squares which I marked in red. So the chessboard is the combination of light square and dark square. Now, how many squares are there on the chessboard? So total 64 squares on the chessboard. Okay, as you can count, there are 8 squares in the standing line and 8 squares in the sleeping line, or we can say horizontal line. So 8 into 8, when you multiply 8 with 8, there will be 64 squares. Okay, so total number of squares are 64 on the chessboard. Now 32 are light squares. Between 64, 32 are light squares and 32 are dark squares. Light squares I marked in green and the dark squares I marked in red. So total 32 plus 32, total 64 squares on the chessboard. Now we'll talk about some basics of the chessboard, which is very important. So as you can see, this standing line which I marked, these standing lines are called files. Okay, the vertical lines are called files. And as you can see at the bottom, it is written A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So we can say that this file, the name of this file is A file, which I marked in green because there is written A at the bottom. So this is A file. The red one is the B file. The yellow one is the C file, like this. So all the vertical lines in chess are called files. A file, B file, C file, like this. Now we'll talk about ranks. What are ranks? So ranks are the horizontal lines, or we can say sleeping lines. Okay, so this is a ranks in chess. And what is the name of this rank? This is rank 1. This is rank 2. This is rank 3, rank 4, rank 5, and so on. Okay, until rank 8. So there are total 8 files which starts from A, B, C, D, and total 8 ranks in chess. Now we'll discuss about the square names. Okay, so as we know, there are total 64 squares on the chessboard. So all the 64 squares has a name. So for example, what is the name of this square which I marked in red? So this square, can you tell me on which file this square is located? So this square is located on the E file. Okay, this is the E file. Now on which rank it is? So it is on 5th rank, or we can say rank 5. So you have to combine the name of the file and the name of the rank. So the name of this square will be E5, not 5E, E5. First we use letter and then the number. So it will be E5. Another example, what is the name of this square? This one. So this square is on D file and on the 7th rank, or rank 7. So the name of this square will be D7. It is very easy. Now one more example in the corner. So this square is on H file and it is on 1st rank. So the name of this square will be H1. Okay, now we'll discuss about diagonals. Okay, so slanting lines are the diagonals in chess. So vertical lines are the files, horizontal lines are the ranks, and slanting lines, or we can say sloping lines, are called the diagonals. And what is the name of this diagonal? This diagonal is starting from D1 square. This is the D1 square, and this one is the h5 square. So it is starting from d1 and it ends on h5. So we have to combine the name of the starting square and the ending square. So this diagonal, the name of this diagonal will be d1 h5 diagonal. Okay, this is very easy. Again, one more example of the diagonal. So this is a big diagonal. It starts from g1 square and it ends on a7 square. So the name of this diagonal will be g1 a7 diagonal. Okay, so we understand about the basics of the board. Okay, so now I'll show you what are the different types of pieces on the chessboard. Okay, so first of all, I'll place the king on the chessboard. Okay, because the king is the most important piece in chess. So this is the king. Okay, the white's king and the black's king. So as we know, there are two sides. Two players play the game, one from white side and the other player plays from black side. So two pieces are there, the white's king and the black's king, and the king is the most important piece in chess. Why? Because if your king got killed, you will lose the game, or if you'll kill your opponent's king, you will win the game. So the king is the most important piece. Now we'll discuss how the king moves. Okay, so the king moves one square in every direction, in the standing line, in the sleeping line, and in the diagonal, but only one square. So these are the squares where the king can move. Okay, always remember the king moves in only one square in any direction. Now we'll discuss about the next piece, which is the queen. Okay, queen is the most we can say queen is the most strongest piece on the chessboard. So this is the queen. Okay, yeah, so this is the queen, the white's queen and the black's queen. Now as we know, these are the kings. King has a plus sign on top of its head. The queen is the second important piece in chess. Queen looks like a crown. Okay, and you can see there are 5 small balls on top of the queen's head. So this is the white's queen and the black's queen. Now how the queen moves? The queen moves like a king, but as many squares as you want. So the queen will move in every direction like the king, but as many squares you can move your queen as you want. So the queen can go to these squares which I'm marking. In every direction you can move the queen and as many squares as you want. So this is how the queen will move. Okay, this is how the queen will move in every direction, in sleeping line, in slanting line, and standing line. So the queen moves like this. So after king and queen, the next important piece is the rook. So I'll place the rook on the chessboard so that you can understand. So this is the rook. The rook looks like a castle, or it looks like a pillar. Okay, so this is the rook. Now how the rook moves? The rook moves in standing line and in sleeping line. Okay, like a plus sign. The rook moves in a plus sign, you can say, and as many squares as you want. So these are the squares where the rook can move. Okay, so the rook can move here, it can move here like this, it can move to that square on e8. So this is how the rook moves, in a plus sign, and we can say in the standing line and in the sleeping line. Now the next piece which we will learn about the bishop. Okay, so after rook we'll learn about the bishop. So this is the bishop. Okay, so this is the bishop. After king, queen, rook, now this piece, the fourth piece, is the bishop. Now how the bishop moves? The bishop moves in the slanting line, or we can say the bishop moves in diagonal like this, as many squares as you want. So this is how the bishop moves. Okay, so the bishop will move in the diagonal as many squares as you want. Now we'll talk about the next piece after the bishop is the knight. Okay, so this is the knight. It looks like a horse. You can see this piece, this chess piece looks like a horse, but in chess we call it as knight. Okay, so this is the knight. Now how the knight moves? The knight moves in an L shape, or you can say 2.5 square. So the knight will go like this, two straight line, two squares in the straight line, and then left or right, right or left. So this is how the knight will move in an L shape. So it will land on this square, which is the D2 square, and it will land on F2 square. So I am showing you the path how the knight is moving, but it will land on D2 or it will land on F2. So this is how the knight moves. 2.5 square, two square straight, and then one square left or right. Now in the like this, so the knight will move in every direction. It can go on this square, in every direction. 2.5 square, two square straight, and then left or right. So these are the squares which I marked in green where the knight can move. So it is very easy. The knight moves in an L shape, and always remember the knight moves 2.5 square, two square straight, and then left or right. Now we'll discuss about the last piece, which is the pawn. Okay, so pawns are the, so this is a pawn, white pawn and black pawn I'll place. Now this is a pawn. Pawns are the soldiers of the chess army. Okay, now how the pawn moves? The pawn moves in a straight line, but it captures diagonally. Okay, so this pawn will move like this in a straight line only. So the pawn cannot move back. The pawn will always move in straight line. Okay, so this is how the white pawn will move, and this is how the black pawn will move. Okay, now the pawn, when the from the starting square, the pawn can move two square, and then it will move only one square. Okay, and this black pawn is also on the starting square, so it can move two square. So you can move this pawn one square also, but if the pawn is on the starting square, you can move it to two squares also. So these are the rules in chess. So this black pawn is also on the starting position. It can go two squares to the to d5, then it will move only one square. So when the pawn is already moved, you can move only one square in front in straight line, and when the pawn is on the starting square, it can move two square on one square or one square. It totally depends on you what you play. Okay, so we discussed about all the pieces. Now we'll learn how the what are the starting positions of the chess pieces. Okay, so the king, first we'll discuss about the king. So this is the starting position of the king. The kings are placed on e1. The white king will be placed on e1 square, and the black king will be placed on the e8 square. So this is the starting square of the king. Now after king, what is the next piece? The next piece is the queen. Okay, so the queen will be placed beside the king. So here is the queen. The queen is placed beside the king on d1 for white and d8 for black. So this is how the queens are placed on the chessboard. This is the starting position of the king and the queen. And always remember that white queen will always be on the white square, or we can say light square, and the black queen will always be placed on the dark square. Now we'll place the rook on the chessboard. Okay, so the rook will be placed on the corner squares. All the corner squares will be placed by the rooks. Okay, so this is how the rooks are placed on the chessboard. All the corner squares a1 and h1, the name of the square is a1 and h1 for white, and a8 and h8 for black. So there are two rooks on each side. White has two rooks and black has two rooks. So always remember, rooks are placed on the corner squares. Now we'll place the knights. Okay, so where we should place the knights on the board? The knights are placed, so this is the starting position of the chess. So as we already discussed that the king will be placed on e1 and e8. The queens are placed on d1 and d8. The rooks are placed on the corner square on a1, h1, a8 and h8. Now we will discuss about the knights. So the knight will be placed beside the rook. So look, this knight is placed beside the rook on b1 and g1 for white and b8 and g8 for black. So this is the starting position of the knight, and then the next piece, the fifth piece, which is the bishop. So the bishops are placed beside the king and the queen. So c1 and f1 for white's bishop and c8 and f8 for black bishop. So this is the starting position of the bishop. So there are two rooks on each side, two bishops on each side, and two knights on each side. Okay, so these are the starting position of the pieces. Now we'll discuss about the pawns. Okay, so there are total 8 pawns on both of the sides. White has 8 pawns, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8, and black has also 8 pawns, you can see. Okay, now the pawns are placed in front of the all the pieces. We can say that the white pawns will be placed on the second rank. This is the second rank or rank 2, and black pawns are placed on the 7th rank or rank 7 in front of every pieces. So this is the starting position of the game. This is the starting position of this all the pieces. From here you will start the game, and we already learned how the pieces moves. So now you know all the things about chess. You understand about the chessboard, you know the files and the ranks and the square names, you know about all the pieces names and how they move. Now you can start playing chess. Okay, so I'll show you how you can play chess. So first of all, you can move your pawn. So this is the starting position of the white pawns. So what I said, that we can move the pawn 2 squares from its starting position. So this pawn can move 2 squares. Okay, now it's black's turn. Okay, white player will always start the game. So white player will play e4, black can also play e5. So this pawn is also on the starting position, it can move 2 squares. Now you can play your knight, you can develop your knight. So this knight is on g1, and always remember one thing we missed, that the knight can jump over any other pieces. Okay, no any other pieces can jump, but only the knight. So what I told you, how the knight moves, the knight moves 2.5 square like an L shape. So it can go 2 squares in straight and then left or right, so it can go to f3. So this is how we can play the game. Now the black will move, black can also develop his knight, so he will play the knight to c6. This is the c6 square. Now you can develop your bishop, you can play the bishop. Bishop moves in a diagonal as many squares as you want. Black can also develop his bishop. So this is how you can play chess. Okay, so we had covered all the things to begin the game, to start the game. So I kept this video very simple so that all the beginner players can understand it well. Okay, so we'll stop the video here. You enjoyed the video or not? If you enjoyed, if you liked the video, you can give a like and you can comment. And in the next video, we'll learn the different things, the different aspects of chess and the basic strategies. Okay, so that you can use that strategies to win against your opponent. Okay, so bye bye, take care, we'll meet in the next video.